When you encounter someone who feeds on your failures, you are dealing with a person who finds a strange sense of satisfaction in your struggles and setbacks. They may not openly celebrate your mistakes, but their reactions and behavior reveal the truth. They come alive when you stumble, and rather than extending a hand to help you rise, they subtly push you further down. This kind of person thrives on the idea that you are not progressing, because your stagnation or downfall somehow validates their own insecurities and shortcomings. Your failure becomes a comfort to them because it reassures them that they are not alone in their lack of growth, or worse, it gives them a twisted sense of superiority over you. This kind of individual will rarely encourage you in a genuine way. If you share your dreams, they might respond with a doubtful expression or a dismissive tone, not because they think your dreams are unrealistic, but because they fear what will happen if you succeed. Your success would be a reminder that they too could have done more with their own lives. That's why, when you fail, they feel a certain relief. It's proof that you're not better than them. This is not about healthy competition or constructive criticism. It's about a deep-rooted desire to keep you at their level or below it. People who feed on your failures are often very subtle. They may offer sympathy, but it's laced with condescension. They might say things like, "I'm not surprised that happened," or, "Well, that's just how life is." These statements are not meant to comfort you. They're meant to solidify in your mind that you should expect failure. Over time, if you let such voices influence you, you start internalizing their low expectations. You begin to doubt yourself, and your own inner voice becomes an echo of their negativity. That's exactly what they want, because a person who doubts themselves is far easier to control and keep down. It's important to understand that people like this are not always openly hostile. They can be friends, family members, or colleagues. Sometimes they even disguise themselves as mentors or supporters. The key difference between someone who genuinely cares for you and someone who feeds on your failures is their reaction to your growth. A genuine supporter may be critical at times, but their criticism is paired with guidance and encouragement to help you rise higher. A hidden enemy will focus only on your mistakes and ignore your progress, because your progress threatens the satisfaction they gain from your setbacks. The damage caused by such people is not just external, it's internal. They can plant seeds of self-doubt that grow into full-blown fear of failure. You may start avoiding risks, not because you are incapable, but because you don't want to give them the pleasure of seeing you fail again. In this way, they gain power over your choices, and you unknowingly limit your own potential just to avoid giving them something to talk about. That is the real tragedy. Not that they feed on your failures, but that you start feeding them by holding yourself back. The best way to protect yourself from such people is to pay close attention to patterns in their behavior. Notice who is genuinely happy for you when you succeed, and who seems uncomfortable or dismissive. Notice who stays close during your hard times, and who uses those moments to subtly remind you of your shortcomings. When you see the pattern, you must make a choice. Either distance yourself from them, or stop giving them access to your vulnerable moments. This doesn't mean becoming cold or bitter. It means becoming wise about who you trust with your struggles. For example, imagine you are working on launching a small business. You tell a friend about your plans, and instead of offering encouragement or advice, they say, "That's risky. Most people fail in the first year. I wouldn't get my hopes up." You decide to push forward anyway, but when the business hits its first rough patch, sales drop, expenses rise, that same friend seems almost pleased. They say things like, "I knew it would be tough," or, "Well, maybe you weren't cut out for it." They don't ask how they can help, they don't offer solutions, and they certainly don't share in your pain with empathy. Instead, they stand back and watch, quietly satisfied that their earlier doubts were proven right. Now, if that business later recovers and starts doing well, you might notice this person suddenly becoming distant, changing the subject, or minimizing your success. Why? Because your recovery and achievement deprive them of the comfort they found in your failure. When you understand this dynamic, you realize that such people have no place in the driver's seat of your life. You can't afford to have your energy, confidence, and dreams influenced by someone who silently celebrates your setbacks. Instead, you must surround yourself with people who are not threatened by your success, who can be honest about your mistakes but without deriving pleasure from them, and who want to see you rise even higher than they have. Failure is a natural part of growth. It's not a curse, it's a lesson. But when you have someone around who feeds on those moments, they try to turn your lessons into chains that hold you back. You must break those chains by refusing to give their opinions more value than your own belief in yourself. Your life is too valuable to be defined by those who would rather see you lose than win. And remember, the moment you stop giving them the energy they crave is the moment they lose their power over you. If you'd like, I can now write the Dara second key point. They plant seeds of doubt in the same deep and powerful 1000-word style so it matches perfectly for your video script. Would you like me to proceed with that? When someone plants seeds of doubt in your mind, they are not trying to destroy you in one big strike. They are trying to weaken you slowly, piece by piece, until you begin to question your own abilities, your own worth, and even your own reality. They don't come at you with direct insults or obvious attacks. Instead, they use subtle suggestions, carefully chosen words, and calculated moments of hesitation to make you second-guess yourself. The seed they plant is small at first, almost unnoticeable, but if you allow it to take root, it will grow until it wraps around your confidence like a vine, choking your belief in yourself. These people know that confidence is one of the most powerful tools a human being can have. They also know that once they can make you question yourself, you will start to hesitate, and hesitation is the enemy of progress. Every goal you have, every dream you hold, depends on your ability to take action with certainty. If they can weaken that certainty, they can control your actions without ever lifting a finger. That is why planting seeds of doubt is such an effective and dangerous tactic. It doesn't require them to fight you directly. It makes you fight yourself. They often disguise their doubt as concern. They might say, "I'm just worried you might get hurt," or "I'm not sure you have the right experience for that yet." On the surface, these comments may sound caring, but their true purpose is to make you hesitate. Doubt doesn't need to be loud to be effective. It only needs to enter your mind once. From there, your own thoughts will do the rest, repeating and amplifying the question they placed until it feels like your own inner voice. The people who plant these seeds are not always strangers or obvious enemies. Sometimes they are friends, colleagues, or even family members. In some cases, they may not even be fully aware they are doing it. They are simply projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. But whether intentional or not, the effect is the same. Your confidence begins to erode, and you start shrinking your dreams to fit the limits they've set for you. What makes this so dangerous is that it often happens gradually. You don't notice the shift right away. You just start to feel less sure about things you were once certain of. You begin to delay decisions, to seek unnecessary validation, to ask permission before chasing opportunities. And soon, you are living a smaller life, not because you can't do more, but because you've been convinced, quietly, subtly, that you shouldn't try. If you are not careful, you may even start to believe that this person is right. You'll remember their words when you're about to take a risk. Are you sure that's a good idea? Do you really think you're ready for that? What if it doesn't work out? Those phrases become the invisible walls you build around yourself. They limit not just what you do, but what you even allow yourself to imagine doing. The antidote to this is awareness. You must learn to recognize when a doubt you feel is truly your own conscience speaking, or if it has been planted there by someone else. You must also examine the source. Does this person have a track record of lifting you up or holding you back? Do they encourage you as often as they warn you? Do they believe in your ability to grow, or do they keep defining you by your past limitations? Once you identify the pattern, you can begin to protect your mind from their influence. Here's an example. Imagine a young woman who has always dreamed of writing a book. She finally shares her plan with a close friend, excited and full of ideas. The friend listens and then says, "That's great, but don't you think the book market is already too crowded? I mean, unless you're really exceptional, it's hard to get noticed. On the surface, it might seem like a harmless observation, but that single sentence plants a seed. Over the next few weeks, every time she sits down to write, she hears that voice in her head, unless you're really exceptional. Suddenly she's second, guessing her plot, her characters, her writing style. She rewrites the same chapters over and over, never satisfied. Eventually she stops writing altogether, telling herself she'll start again when the timing is right. In reality, the timing was never the problem. The seed of doubt grew into a forest of hesitation, and she lost the belief that her work could matter. Now imagine the opposite. What if the friend had said, "That's amazing. Yes, the market is crowded, but your voice is unique. You should go for it. Even if it's tough, you'll grow so much through the process." The seed planted here is one of confidence, not doubt. And just as a seed of doubt can grow into hesitation, a seed of belief can grow into unstoppable action. The key is to surround yourself with people who plant seeds of possibility, not seeds of fear. You will still face challenges, and you will still fail sometimes. That's part of life. But when you have people who believe in you, you will face those moments with resilience instead of retreat. When someone tries to plant a seed of doubt, you will recognize it for what it is and choose not to water it with your attention. Doubt only has power when you give it space to grow. If you meet it with determination, if you counter it with action, it withers. But if you nurture it, by replaying it in your mind, by letting it dictate your choices, it will spread into every corner of your life. That is why you must be vigilant. Your dreams are like a garden, and your mind is the soil. You have to decide which seeds you allow in, and which you pull out before they take root. There will always be people who doubt you, just as there will always be people who believe in you. You can't control what they plant, but you can control what you allow to grow. Protect your vision, protect your confidence, and above all, remember that the voice that matters most is not the one whispering doubt from the outside. It's the one inside you that says, "I can, and I will." There is a certain kind of person in life who seems to be present when the sun is shining, but vanishes the moment the clouds roll in. When things are going well for you, when you're happy, successful, and thriving, they are there, smiling, laughing, and sharing in your joy. But when you face difficulty, when life knocks you down, and when you need support the most, they disappear without explanation. They stop answering calls, they forget to check in, and they distance themselves so quietly that you almost start to question whether you ever meant anything to them at all. The truth is, the moments when you are struggling are the moments that reveal the truth about the people around you. Anyone can stand beside you when the road is smooth, but only the loyal will walk with you through the storm. Those who disappear in your hardest times are often the ones who were never invested in you as a person. They were invested in the comfort, entertainment, or benefits they gained from being around you. Once your life no longer feels light and easy, they no longer see the value in staying close. The disappearance is rarely announced. They don't tell you, "I can't handle your problems." Instead, they fade into the background, using excuses like being too busy or giving you space. In reality, they are avoiding the discomfort of standing beside you in your pain. Sometimes they fear being pulled into your problems. Other times they simply don't care enough to make the effort. Either way, their absence speaks louder than their past presence ever did. This kind of behavior is damaging because it adds a layer of betrayal to an already difficult situation. When you are hurting, you are already carrying the weight of your challenges. But when someone you trusted chooses that moment to step away, it can make you feel abandoned and unworthy of support. You begin to wonder if you did something wrong, or if your value to them was only tied to the good times you shared. Not everyone who disappears in hard times does so out of malice. Some people are simply uncomfortable with vulnerability. They don't know how to offer support without feeling helpless themselves. Others may be so consumed with their own lives that they don't recognize how deeply you're struggling. But while the reasons vary, the outcome is the same. You find yourself walking through the storm without the people you thought you could count on. The most dangerous part of this experience is that it can make you hesitant to open up in the future. After being abandoned once, you may start to keep your struggles to yourself, thinking, why bother? They'll just leave anyway. This can lead to isolation, which only deepens the pain you're already carrying. That's why it's important not to mistake someone's disappearance as proof that everyone will disappear. The reality is that hard times don't just reveal who your real friends are. They also clear the path for the right people to enter your life. The way to protect yourself from the hurt caused by disappearing people is to stop measuring friendships solely by how much fun you have together in the good times. Instead, pay attention to who checks in when you're quiet. Notice who makes an effort when there's nothing for them to gain. These are the ones who will not vanish when things get hard. Keep them close because they are rare. Here's an example. Imagine you lose your job unexpectedly. At first, you tell your closest circle of friends, expecting their encouragement and maybe some practical help. One friend says, "That's tough, but you'll bounce back," and then disappears, never asking how you're doing in the following weeks. Another friend says, "I'm so sorry. What do you need?" and then actually shows up, helping you polish your resume, introducing you to contacts, or simply listening when you're frustrated. The first friend might have been great company during weekends out, but when you truly needed them, they were gone. The second friend may not have been the most talkative or flashy in good times, but when the moment came to stand beside you, they were there without hesitation. This is the difference between fair weather friends and those who are genuinely committed to you as a person. The first kind will always find a reason to be absent when it matters most. The second kind understands that loyalty is not about convenience, it's about presence, even when being present is difficult. Over time, you will start to see that the people who disappear are actually doing you a strange favor. They are revealing themselves before life allows you to depend on them in even more critical situations. Their absence teaches you to be more discerning, to invest your time and trust in people who have proven themselves in the moments that count. It also teaches you resilience, the ability to keep moving forward even when you are walking alone. It's natural to feel hurt and disappointed when someone you trusted disappears in your time of need. But it's also an opportunity to realign your relationships. Instead of chasing after those who left, put your energy into strengthening the bonds with those who stayed. Even if that means your circle becomes smaller, it will be stronger, because it will be made of people who are willing to walk with you in both sunshine and rain. At the end of the day, life will test your relationships just as much as it tests you, and those tests will reveal something powerful. Some people are only meant to be chapters in your story, while others are meant to be the spine that holds your story together. The ones who disappear have simply shown you that their role in your life was temporary. The ones who stay prove that their loyalty is not based on circumstance, but on genuine connection. So the next time you face a storm and notice that certain people have vanished, don't let it break your spirit. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it teach you that not everyone who starts the journey with you is meant to finish it. And most importantly, let it remind you to be the kind of person who does not disappear in someone else's darkest hour, because the loyalty you give is the loyalty you deserve. There is a particular kind of deception that cuts deeper than open hostility. The deception of someone who appears to be your supporter in front of others, but in private, works against you. These individuals are masters of the double face. In public they will clap for you, speak well of you to your face, and create the image that they are firmly in your corner. But once the crowd is gone, once the doors are closed, their words and actions reveal a completely different truth. They criticize, they undermine, they plant doubt, and they spread negativity behind your back. The most dangerous part is that the public mask they wear convinces others, and sometimes even convinces you, that they are loyal, making their private attacks harder to detect and even harder to expose. This type of behavior is a form of manipulation. By showing public support, they gain access to your trust, your plans, and your vulnerabilities. They position themselves close enough to you that no one would suspect their disloyalty. Then, in private, they use the information you've shared against you. They might do this subtly, through discouraging comments, by questioning your decisions, or by, accidentally, leaking sensitive information to the wrong people. Or they might act more directly, by trying to sabotage your work or turn others against you. The reason their betrayal is so damaging is because it operates in two worlds. In the public world, they are seen as your ally, so if you call them out, you risk looking paranoid or ungrateful. In the private world, they chip away at your confidence, your relationships, and your opportunities, knowing you can't easily prove their true intentions. They rely on the fact that you will hesitate to expose them, because their public image seems so positive. This is not just about jealousy or competition, it's about control. A person like this wants to be close enough to watch your progress, but not to genuinely help you succeed. They want to manage how others see you, keeping you from becoming too strong or too independent. By pretending to support you, they avoid confrontation and keep you off guard, while still finding ways to slow you down. Sometimes their public praise is exaggerated on purpose, so that people think, wow, they really care about you. This creates a smokescreen. Meanwhile, in private, they could be telling you that your work isn't good enough, that your opportunities are slipping away, or that people are talking badly about you. This combination of public support and private sabotage is one of the most toxic forms of betrayal, because it traps you between gratitude and suspicion. Here's an example. Imagine a man working in a competitive corporate environment. One of his colleagues, Sarah, is always complimenting him in meetings. I think he's doing a fantastic job with this project. Or, he's one of our most valuable team members. Everyone sees her as a supporter. But privately, when they are alone, Sarah says things like, I'm just worried you're taking on too much, you might not be able to handle it. Or, I heard some people saying your presentation wasn't as strong as they expected. It might be best to keep a low profile for a while. What he doesn't know is that Sarah is the one who started those negative comments in the first place. She is slowly eroding his confidence while maintaining the appearance of being on his side. This dual nature is hard to confront because others may defend them. What are you talking about? She's always praising you. That's exactly the trap. They hide their betrayal in a way that makes you doubt your own perception. If you're not careful, you might even believe their private criticisms and start holding yourself back, all while they smile beside you in public, watching you shrink. The best way to protect yourself from this kind of person is to pay attention to consistency. Does their private feedback match their public words? Do they encourage you in private the way they do in public? Are they equally enthusiastic about your success when no one else is watching? If you notice a gap, if their private words often leave you feeling smaller, while their public words make you look good, you may be dealing with someone who is pretending to support you while working against you. It's also wise to be selective about what you share with people who have this dual behavior. You don't have to cut them off completely right away, but you should limit the information you give them. If they can't access your insecurities or your detailed plans, they have less power to use them against you. Keep conversations polite, but guard the parts of your life that matter most. It's important to remember that genuine supporters are consistent. They don't just cheer for you in front of others, they also lift you up in private. They tell you hard truths when necessary, but they do so in a way that builds you up rather than tears you down. They don't use your struggles as ammunition or your trust as a weapon. They are the same person whether the world is watching or not. When you realize someone is pretending to support you publicly, but destroying you privately, it can feel deeply personal. And it is. But it's also a turning point. You see their true nature, and that gives you the power to decide how to deal with them. You can either distance yourself completely or, if distancing isn't possible, you can adjust your expectations and interactions so that they can no longer harm you in the same way. The most important thing is not to let their two-faced behavior make you cynical about everyone. Not everyone operates this way. There are people who will be honest and loyal in every setting. But the sooner you learn to recognize the signs of public support paired with private sabotage, the sooner you can stop letting these people into the parts of your life where they can do damage. In the end, this kind of person thrives on secrecy. They want you to doubt yourself, to second guess your instincts, and to stay quiet about your discomfort. The moment you trust your perception and act accordingly, whether by setting boundaries, limiting your openness, or walking away, you take away their power. And once that mask falls, they will have no choice but to reveal who they truly are. There are people in life whose presence feels like sunlight. Being around them makes you feel stronger, more alive, and more capable. Then there are others whose presence is like standing in the cold shadow of a building that blocks all warmth. They don't always insult you, they don't always openly oppose you, but something about being around them leaves you exhausted. Your energy drops, your motivation fades, and your mood changes for the worse. These are the people who drain your energy. Energy drainers don't always act maliciously. Some do it intentionally because they want control over you, while others do it unconsciously because they carry constant negativity, fear, or chaos. But regardless of intent, the result is the same. You walk away from interactions with them feeling smaller, weaker, and heavier than you did before. The danger is that energy is not just about how you feel in the moment. It affects your actions, your decisions, and even your ability to pursue your goals. If someone is constantly pulling from your energy without giving anything back, over time you become too tired to fight for the life you want. These people often demand more than they give. Conversations with them feel one-sided. They unload their problems on you, but when you need a listening ear, they are either unavailable or uninterested. They criticize more than they encourage. They find flaws in your plans but rarely offer solutions. They may not always mean to harm you, but they leave you with a weight to carry that doesn't belong to you. One of the ways energy drainers operate is through constant negativity. They have a way of turning every situation into a problem, even good ones. If you tell them about an opportunity, they'll remind you of everything that could go wrong. If you share a success, they'll find a way to downplay it. This steady stream of pessimism doesn't just affect your mood, it begins to shape your thinking. Eventually, you may start anticipating the negative before it even happens, because you've been conditioned to expect it. Another way they drain you is by making every interaction about themselves. They are quick to share their struggles, their frustrations, and their needs, but slow to acknowledge yours. They pull you into their world of problems and expect you to invest your emotional energy in fixing them. And if you fail to meet their expectations, they may act hurt, making you feel guilty for having your own boundaries. The worst part is that energy drainers often disguise themselves as people who need you. They might make you feel important because they constantly turn to you for help. At first, you might even like the feeling of being needed. But over time, you realize that their need is endless. No matter how much energy you give, it's never enough. And every bit you give them is energy you no longer have for your own growth and happiness. Here's an example. Imagine you have a colleague named Mark. At first, he seems friendly and approachable. He often comes to your desk to chat. But those chats quickly turn into long sessions where he complains about management, co-workers, and how unfair the company is to him. You try to offer advice, but he always dismisses it, saying, "That won't work," or "You don't understand." Over time, you notice that after talking to him, you feel frustrated and drained, as if you've just run a mental marathon without moving from your chair. One day, you realize you've started avoiding certain tasks because they put you in situations where you'll have to deal with him. That's when you understand. Mark isn't just talking, he's taking your focus, your patience, and your emotional energy, and giving nothing back. This kind of drain doesn't just happen in the workplace. It can happen in friendships, family relationships, and even romantic partnerships. If someone constantly pulls you into their storms, but never stands with you in yours, you are dealing with an energy imbalance. That imbalance, if left unchecked, can lead to burnout, resentment, and even physical stress symptoms. Protecting yourself from energy drainers starts with awareness. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you leave the interaction feeling lighter and inspired, or heavier and discouraged? If you notice a consistent pattern of depletion, you have to create boundaries. That might mean limiting the amount of time you spend with them, steering conversations toward more positive topics, or refusing to engage in endless negativity. It's also important to remember that your energy is your responsibility to protect. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how much access they have to you. Some people will be offended when you set boundaries, especially if they are used to having unlimited access to your time and emotions. But protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour into others if you are running on empty. Over time, you'll find that by limiting your exposure to energy draining people, you regain clarity, motivation, and peace of mind. You'll have more space for the people and activities that recharge you instead of deplete you. You'll also begin to recognize the difference between helping someone because they truly need it and being used as an emotional dumping ground. The truth is, life is already challenging enough without carrying the weight of someone else's constant negativity or chaos. You owe it to yourself to be intentional about where your energy goes. Spend it on people who appreciate it, situations that inspire you, and goals that move you forward. The rest is simply too expensive, because your energy is one of the most valuable things you have, and once it's gone, you can't get the moment back. In the end, learning to protect your energy is about valuing yourself enough to stop allowing others to drain you. It's about understanding that the right people will not just take, they will also give. They will leave you better than they found you, and you will do the same for them. That balance is what creates healthy, lasting connections. Without it, you're left with relationships that look like companionship, but feel like slow exhaustion. And that's a price you should never be willing to pay.